Listen, there are a lot of podcasts about the black church in the vein of Larry Reed and King Jives.
Yikes.
But if you're looking for a podcast about the black church that's thoughtful, informative, substantive, stimulating, then you need to subscribe to Black Church Chats. That's right. I need you to hit that subscribe button and then also hit the notification bell so that you'll know every time we go live. All right, on to the show. This verse is usually misinterpreted more so on the popular level. As a matter of fact, if you're an unbeliever listening to me right now, you are far more likely to take this verse and mangle and misinterpret this verse. Because on the popular level, this verse has evolved into something that it was never meant to be. And some of you guys are probably already guessing what verse this is. Matthew 7:1. Again, Jesus's words. It's amazing how we flippantly sometimes interpret Jesus's words. Matthew 7:1. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 7, verse 1, y'all. What'd he say? This is what he said. Judge not, that you be not judged. Verse 2, for with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. You know what? That verse is what I call a clapback verse. Those two verses, those are clapback verses. Any critique, whether it's a social critique, whether it's a theological critique, any critique that you give to somebody who doesn't want to hear the critique or they don't like the critique, they are quick to say, don't judge. Don't judge. Don't judge. Hey, sis, we're called to dress modestly in church. And, just listen, no condemnation, love you. But the skirt, look, when you sit down, stuff is slipping out everywhere. And don't judge. Matthew 7:1, right? Hey, there are certain lifestyles that are actually not condoned biblically. Certain sexual ethics that do not comport with the word of God. And I am bound to believe the word of God. And so let's don't judge. Don't judge, right? So Matthew 7:1 is the clapback verse. But the problem is people stop at verse 2 and they don't continue reading. Therefore, these two verses are commonly misinterpreted because people don't want to dig deeper. They just want to clap back. But let's dig deeper into Matthew 7. Starting in verse 1, judge not that you be not judged, for with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged, and with the measure you use it, it will be measured to you. Jesus continues in verse 3. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? So what is Jesus bringing into view here? Hypocrisy. You are judging somebody because let's say that they fornicated, okay? And you are judging that person as an unbeliever while you yourself are running an entire exploitative, trafficking ring. Okay, that would be so you are so focused on the speck in this person's eye that you're not even looking at the log in your own eye. And with that log in your own eye, you are judging somebody else. Jesus is after hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. He goes on in verse 4 and he says, or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye when there is a log in your own eye? You hypocrite. First, you got to take the log out of your own eye. So you've got to deal with your own issues, your own problems, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. Notice there is no prohibition on taking the speck out of your brother's eye. There's no prohibition on recognizing the speck in your brother's eye. Jesus does not condemn that. Most people would call that judging, though. No, Jesus is not saying don't do that. He's saying first, before you judge the speck in your brother's eye, first make sure that you don't have a log in your own. So Jesus is requiring self-examination so that you are not judging how? Hypocritically. Why? Because we are to judge righteously. Did you know that's in the Bible? In John 7:24, we are told to make righteous judgments. Not to refrain from judging, but to judge righteously. And when you're judging hypocritically, you are not judging righteously. As a matter of fact, let me drive this in. Let me drive this in. Look at what Jesus continues to say. Look at what Jesus continues to say. In the same chapter, in verse 6, Jesus goes on to say, do not give dogs what is holy, and do not throw your pearls before pigs. Woo! Dogs and pigs. If you understood like first century views, particularly amongst Jewish people, amongst Semitic people, if you understood how they viewed dogs and pigs in the first century, then you would understand like how abrasive these words would have been to the hearers. Jesus says in verse 6 of the same chapter, do not give dogs what is holy, and do not throw your pearls before pigs. So you're supposed to have discernment enough to look out and judge who the dogs and pigs are, that you are not supposed to cast pearls before. So Jesus doesn't want judgment to happen unrighteously, hypocritically, but he absolutely does want us to judge. He just wants us to judge righteously. He wants us to judge with discernment that is filtered through a mind that is conforming to the image of Christ, shaped thoroughly by the gospel and the word of God. And he wants us to use that discernment to judge dogs and pigs and otherwise. All right. So